We're very excited to feature the brilliant show Mrs. Wilson on board at the moment. Went straight in at #1 on our chart, indeed. It's the story of a woman who, on the death of her husband, discovers there's much more to him and his past than she could ever believe. Mrs. Wilson is played by the actress Ruth Wilson, quite magnificently, and I'm even more thrilled to welcome Ruth Wilson to talk to me about this story and shed even more extraordinary light on what is a quite unbelievable story in the first place. Thanks for coming, Ruth.
Thanks for having me.
But Mrs. Wilson is, let's reveal it, your grandma.
Yes, she's Alison Wilson, that's my grandmother, who died when I was 22. And when she died, she left a memoir. And in that memoir, she described growing up, meeting this man called Alec, and then when he died, finding out that she wasn't the only wife, there was one other. And then when she died, more things came out about who he was, and so we've put that into the drama as well.
You've been cleared to work in intelligence. You'll be working for Major Wilson.
You do know I'm entirely unsuitable for a young lady like you.
So you found this memoir. Was it typed? It was published? It was
It
manuscript?
wasn't published, it was a manuscript that she left and she gave it to her 2 sons. And in it she wanted to, it was revealing all the secrets that she'd held for 40 years.
And she held them from her sons,
Yeah.
one of whom is your father.
My dad, yep. So my dad and my uncle feature both in the drama. But yeah, these are 2 sons that she kept the secret from. She was aiming or wanted to protect them from the truth of who their dad was and what kind of life she had gone through, what they had sort of suffered at his hands, really, the consequences of his actions.
Hey, Alec, please, someone help me! Someone help me!
You must be his landlady.
No, I'm his wife. Who are you?
Gladys Wilson. I'm Alec's wife.
Did they know what to do with this memoir? Did they say, well, because they must have showed it to you as a
Yeah,
young
we all
woman.
talked about it. It was the biggest revelation in our family ever. I mean, the first thing was, wow, our family's not that boring. We thought we were quite dull. And suddenly there's this whole mysterious figure of my grandfather. I mean, my dad never talked about him. We didn't have any photos in the house of him. He never spoke of his dad. So then we received this memoir and suddenly a whole... or the secret of who he was and his work in intelligence services, his work abroad in India, the fact that he wrote 27 spy novels, all these things came out. But we still don't know, really, what he got up to.
Alec would lie to me, not like that. Not for 20 years.
There are things you don't know.
Alec was a first-class agent. It's the price you have to pay.
Who was he? Who was my husband?
The levels of acting that are going on from everyone are amazing, particularly from Ian Glenn's Alec, who's acting. I mean, he's got 5 parts he's playing. And I guess that's what spies do, and I guess that's what...
Actors do.
Actors do it, yeah.
The compartmentalisation of what spies and actors do, it's not dissimilar. You go in and have to make believe and really believe in an environment, and the stakes feel high. I mean, much higher for a spy than for an actor, but they still feel high for an actor. But you have to convince people that your story is truthful.
I don't know if I can trust you.
No, don't ever trust me. So they don't trust an actor.
You've also delved into the world of subterfuge in Luther.
Yeah, she's a different sort of psychopath. I love playing Alice because she's seemingly without conscience. So she sort of lives life like we'd all quite like to live it, I think, without burden. For me, it was like it definitely freed up. You could have a lot of fun. She could kind of enjoy every moment and was always 15 steps ahead of everyone else. And of course, playing with Idris is great fun. We've been doing it for 8 years now, so we have a real interesting connection that sort of grows each time we play.
I want to talk to you about your life in film, in a way. What was the first film you ever saw, Ruth Wilson?
It was The Little Mermaid at the Odeon in Staines.
Oh, a glamorous location.
Yes, glamorous location. I remember it really vividly. I remember being in the car park afterwards talking about it with my brothers. I just enjoyed the whole process of going to the cinema, sitting in a dark room and eating lots of popcorn and getting high on sugar.
Yeah. You were hooked ever since.
Yeah, exactly. Disney hooked me in.
Is there a film that you've fallen in love to?
No, but there is a film that I pretended to go and see because I was going on a date. So I said to my parents that I was going to watch Waterworld. And I didn't go and see it. I was on a date.
Nobody did.
Nobody did, exactly. It turns out no one went. But my dad did ask me about it afterwards, and I said, well, it's about a man on a boat in a land of water. I just made up some awful, really clearly lying and not having a clue what I'd just watched.
If there's a film that you could be in from the past, you know, or like a classic film or an old film, is there a film that you wish that you could have been in, Ruth
Butch
Wilson?
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as one of them. My dad loved that movie, and that's what we watched all the that or the, Magnificent Seven. One of those. Always quite like to be the men in movies because they're the better roles often.
Any preference between Redford, Newman?
Newman. I love Newman. So probably Newman.
Yeah, I think you'd be a great Paul Newman.
Oh, would I?
You have
Good.
the same
good,
eyes.
Good. Yes, blue eyes.
and a huge sideline in sauces.
That's the next phase. Yeah, I've got to kind of come up with some pasta sauces.
Mrs. Wilson's jams
Yeah, exactly.
for the WI.
Hey, this is where I get the money.
This is the back end. This is where the franchise kicks
Yeah,
in.
you're right. Mrs. Wilson's jams. Yeah, good.
Mrs. Wilson, Ruth Wilson, thank you so much for bringing us
Thank
Alison
you.
Wilson and your show, Mrs. Wilson. It's been brilliant to talk to you. Thank you so
too.
much for joining us.
Thank you.